Welcome back to the channel for another install video on our 22 WRX. You guys already know what we're going to install, so you already know the drill. Let's just jump right to the bench and I'll show you what it looks like. Let's go. All right, and over here we have the long awaited for IAG air oil separator. Now this part is a must-have for all of us VB WRXs. It should be on every single turbo Subaru out there, so any WRX or STI, this is a must-have mod. This just increases the reliability of the car. It's an air oil separator, so it does exactly what it says. It separates the oil from the air mixture that's going into the vehicle. So the PCV system is basically going to be tied to this, and it's going to filter out any of that oil that we don't want getting into our combustion chamber. We don't want that oil getting on our intake valves and getting some carbon buildup and everything. So this is just going to increase the reliability and probably decrease some of the maintenance, since we're going to have less oil on the back of the valves. We're going to have less buildup on those intake valves. So all around, this is going to be a huge upgrade for the car. And obviously, you know, when oil gets into the combustion chamber, it does lower your octane rating. Lowering the octane rating will make detonation. So detonation, obviously not good. This is going to help eliminate any type of oil in the combustion chamber and reduce the chance of detonation due to oil in the combustion chamber and lowering the octane rating. Last thing I want to mention with the air oil separator compared to a catch can, because they do similar functions. The air oil separator auto drains its can back into the engine, so you don't need to worry about emptying the catch can or anything. So this will automatically drain back in. So a lot of people also say that you don't want that frothy mixture and everything going back in the engine. Well, that only happens when the canister or the catch can sits there. It gets cold, it attracts vapor, like water vapor, so then water gets in that canister and it looks like a milky mixture. With an AOS, you have coolant lines running to it, so you are eliminating the chance of getting that milky, frothy mixture. So you're just getting oil going back, draining back into the engine. So anyways, back to the install. The first thing that we're going to do, we are going to get it mounted up here in the corner. So we do have a parent strut brace, and we do have the ETS front mount. With the ETS front mount, it's going to make it much easier just to see everything. We do not have to take the intercooler off, of course, since we don't have a top mount anymore. If you do need help removing the top mount, I'll link the video for my IAG pitch top mount. Obviously, we had to remove the intercooler for that, so it's a short little video. If you guys need to remove the top mount, you can just watch the video on that, which I'll link in one of these corners. So like I said, let's get this parent brace popped off. We got two on both sides. We'll get the brace taken off and we'll get our bracket mounted on to get the canister mounted. So let me get you guys set up and we'll get to that. All right, so we finally have our parent strut brace off. A little bit more than I thought. I thought I could just take off the two nuts and on both sides and take it off, but it does run underneath the wire over there, so I did have to take the bar off. But anyways, we are ready for our bracket. So let's get that set there. And we'll get our parent bracket to go right back on top. And we'll throw our two nuts back on. So there we go. That's what our bracket is going to look like installed. All right, so let me get this bar put back on and we'll continue with this install. All right, back at the bench, we have our AOS right here, and on the back, you can see all of the mounting holes. So there are 7 on here. So we're gonna mount it on 4 and 5. And they have the supplied hardware here just to check, make sure they thread in. Of course it does. All right, so we're gonna get this mounted in the car, like I said, on number 4 and 5 with the provided hardware. Let go. All right, AOS is mounted. That's a glimpse of what it's going to look like installed. I love the IAG logo there on the front and on top. I mean, this is gonna look so good. Wrinkle black matching everything else. Pair and brace, ETS kit. Just look at it. Just look at it. Yep, it looks great. All right, so let's continue with this install. All right, so we have these two lines in here right now. These are our coolant lines for the AOS. You can see one of them already has an elbow on it and the other one just has a clamp on it. I did already slide it down, but we're gonna be looking at, we have two hoses that go into your throttle body. This is your top hose and the other braided one right there is the bottom hose, and they both go into the throttle body right here on the side. So we're gonna be looking at this bottom one here. So we're gonna pull that off, slide this on, and then slide this onto the hose. So I'm gonna get some rags under there. I am gonna clamp the hose just try to mitigate as much spillage as possible, but I'll get some rags under there and we'll get this thing swapped out real quick. And there we have it. Our first two lines are done. They're just sitting there in the back. Yeah, they're just dangling around, but you can see our 90-degree right here and the other one going into the bottom port. And we got all of our clamps on. So I love that IAG's comes with these just like OE style clamps that just spring on instead of the like ones that you just have to tighten on like worm gear clamps. So we have the coolant lines done, minimal spillage, so we'll move on to the next line. The next line that we're going to be hooking up is going to be the PCV one. So it's this big hose right here. We have one clamp right here and a similar style or the exact same style clamp all the way at the bottom. So let's get the hose taken off at the bottom and then we can see our PCV valve. So let me get you guys set up and we'll get this taken off. All right, so we have that PCV hose taken off. And if the camera will focus, you can see the inside already has like some oil buildup and everything. So this is what's going directly into the intake manifold. And you can see here, we got some residue going into the manifold as well. So that's oil getting into the combustion chamber. That's possibly causing detonation when there's a buildup of any oil in the combustion chamber, because that does lower your octane rating. Also, with all this extra oil going into the intake, it also does cause like carbon buildup on the back of the intake valve. So this car only has like 7,000 miles on it, so I mean really not that many miles on it, and you can see the oil on this, the oil buildup on it. So definitely happy we're getting this IAG AOS put on right now. So next part of the install, we need to get the PCV valve off. So that is, I believe, a 24 mil. So we need to take that off and we will install the supplied barb fitting that will go on there. So let's get that started. All right, with the supplied barb installed on the block, you want to grab the Y hose. There's a short and a long hose. The short hose is going to go down and the long hose is going to go on top. So let's get that fitted on right now. Oh, I also pulled up the clamp just so you can slip it on a little bit better. Get it oriented in a good way so when you get it on the new fitting, you can tighten this. So let's get this put on and I'll show you how to route these. right, we have that hose fully installed. You can see the Y fitting is down there. We have one little zip tie, supplied zip tie holding it there. That does go into the lower port on the AOS on the side. And then our bottom hose, that is actually going to go on the bottom for the drain. So that's how it should look currently. So the next hose that we're going to be working on is this one right here. So back over at the bench, I have the PCV valve and the stock hose. So we're going to get this fitted back into there. And then this is the IAG supplied hose. This is going to thread onto there. And then this part of the hose is going to go to the top of the canister. So let me get this installed, these three installed, and I'll show you how it gets routed. Before we get that hose installed, this is what it should look like with the PCV valve and the IAG supplied fitting and hose should look like. All right, so let's get it installed. All right, nice and easy. Got this hose installed, goes down underneath this black line that we have zip tied over here, goes underneath it, routes up behind the AC line, comes up into the top of the canister. So it should look something like that. So we're going to be moving on to the last two hoses. We're going to be working on this hose right here. So we have a connection right on the turbo inlet, and then we have this connection right here. So let's get to work on getting this hose off and we'll continue on. Let's go. So you can see we got the stock connection off at the turbo inlet. I end up just cutting the hose in half since we aren't going to be reusing this, and we actually can't reuse it because we're actually, once we get to this top part up here, we're going to have to break that off. But so this is the bottom piece disconnected. Just like the throttle body, it has that clip that you just pull out and then comes out. And then IAG supplies their own coupler and their own hose with a quick disconnect fitting. So I'm just going to clip this onto the turbo inlet, and I already fished the hose through the same routing as the OEM, and I'll get this installed in just a sec. I did take the fan out just so we can get a better view. You could probably do without taking the fan out, but I opted to. It's a little bit easier, more space. So that's where that connection came off of. We're going to clip this on just like that. All right, we got that connection on there. And then we can bring our hose down and get that plugged right on. All right, well, we have the next connection done. We got the P-clip on. It's on the first of the two of, this is where the stock top mount intercooler bracket is. It's on the first one. This hose goes all the way down to the turbo inlet, right into the top of the can. So we only have one more connection to do. It's this one right here. So unfortunately, there is no way to take this connection off. So even in a different brand AOS, they do say basically break this off with a chisel. So I'm just gonna get a flathead on it with a little hammer, tap it a few times and see if I can get this plastic to break off here. All right, so that was much easier than expected. And just like a little flathead, just did this little crack right here and it just came right off. So looking at it, how it was put on, it looks like it was crimped on and like basically like plastic melted, crimped on. And then on the actual tube right here, there is a little like clip, but that clip is covered by this cover, and it's like plastic welded on from the factory. So it is literally a one-time use clamp, but luckily for us, IAG has already thought of that solution. They have made a separate clamp, just like all the OE ones. It has a little clip, just like everything else. So this will be able to go on and off better than OEM. So this is an upgrade to the OEM. So let's get this hose put on and then route it into our canister. And just like that, the IAG AOS is fully installed. So I didn't get the fan put back in yet, which will get put back in just a sec because I wanted to show you guys all the connections. So let's start at the top of the AOS, the big, larger hose. This goes all the way down to our turbo inlet, which you can see down there. So that is a custom bracket that they give you to clip onto the turbo inlet with a quick disconnect. And that line goes all the way up to this P-clip on the first bolt, and then goes into the AOS. This top line, this is going to get routed back behind the AC line, down and through, and this goes into the stock PCV hose that goes into the intake manifold. The next hose we're going to be looking at is the top hose on the side of the AOS. This hose wraps all the way around and then goes into this front breather port, and it clips in with another custom quick disconnect that IAG provided. And look at that, the IAG branded hoses, so super nice touch. The next two lines we're going to talk about is the bottom line and this hose here, because they are connected to the same port on the engine. So port on the bottom port on the side of the canister and the bottom port come together and they Y down to the breather right on top of the head with the barb fitting provided by IAG, and it Ys up. So you can see it goes between this metal pipe here. I believe that's the EGR. And then this one goes on top and wraps around. So you can see where I did put the zip ties. Got one right here, 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 and here. And then got another one there. And then on this side where the line goes, got another one right there. The last two lines are the coolant lines. It's these back two right here. So these two wrap around and they go into the bottom port on the throttle body. So you see this 90 degree right here. This is the OEM hose that went into the bottom of the throttle body. And right here is our new IAG hose. Literally just goes at the bottom right here on the throttle body. So that's a little tutorial of how all the lines are routed. So let's put the fans back in and finish this install up. And there we have it. All buttoned up. Intake's back on. Fans back on. Everything's plugged back in. We're all set. Really looks good in the engine bay. Definitely filled that like void we had going on here. Matches everything else going on in the engine bay. Fits perfectly with the pair and strut brace. ETS front mount kit. No issues with fitment or anything. If anything, the ETS front mount kit made it easier to install. So I'm going to get the car started and just add coolant if needed. We didn't lose any coolant, like maybe like 1 or 2 drops came out, so I doubt we're going to have to add anything. But just add coolant if you notice it goes a little bit low. But other than that, this install is 100% wrapped up. That's all I got for you guys on this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this install video for the IAG AOS. I was super excited that I could make this install video for you guys. When you order your AOS, definitely use this as a guide to get yours installed, and so you can see where all the hoses route and everything as well. I still think this is a must-have modification for any VB WRX or any WRX or STI basically ever. The IAG AOS just makes the car run better, period. I'm not sure on the exact release date of the AOS. They're definitely coming out very soon, so definitely stay tuned to IAG's social media for more details for when the AOS comes out. Until next time, see ya.